Welcome back to Sweat Equity, where we're building the dream. In today's video, we're going to be taking this builder grade fireplace and turning it into this rustic staple of the living room. Before we jump into the renovation, let's take a quick look at the tools it took to get this job done. The first thing we need to do is demo the existing fireplace. Let's take a look. Once I had removed all of the tile from the fireplace, I measured and traced out the footprint of where I wanted the hearth to be. I then set the depth of my circular saw blade just deep enough to cut through the finished flooring without cutting through the subflooring. Once I had cut through the finished flooring, all I needed to do was remove it in preparation for my hearth. Alright, now that the demo was done, we needed to construct a hearth to ensure that this fireplace no longer floated in the center of the wall. To do this, I grabbed some 2x4s, OSB, and cement backer board that I had laying around. First, I cut my 2x4s and constructed 4 small boxes that would become the main structure for the hearth. Once I had the supports in place, I fastened these to the floor and back to the existing fireplace wall. I then took an additional piece of 2x and attached it to the top and bottom of the supports to hold everything together. Once the main structure was complete, it was time to wrap it in OSB and cement backer board. When constructing your hearth, don't forget to take into account the finished material thickness. My fireplace, like many others, has an access door at the base of it. This is where all of the fireplace controls are. If I didn't take into consideration the thickness of that finished material, I very easily could have obstructed the swing of that access panel.
The next morning.
Alright, now that our hearth is completely built, it's time to have a little fun and lay the brick veneer. I would suggest laying your pattern out on a piece of paper, the computer, something to visualize it before jumping into this step. Additionally, I would suggest using a tile saw, as I found a tile snapper just didn't cut it to get the job done. I will say the tile saw tends to leave you with a straight, sharp cut, which just doesn't feel authentic to the brick. I took those edges and roughed them up again using a scrap piece of brick. Once our bricks had set up, it was time to move on to the last step. I mixed up some mortar, placed it in the piping bag, and piped it in to all of the joints. Once you have your mortar piped into the joints, take your joiner tool and smooth out these joints. Now you're going to want to let the mortar set before running the tool over the joints. I would suggest doing this in sections so that you give the mortar time to set up, but don't allow it enough time to completely dry. The last thing you'll notice here in this step is I take a paintbrush and brush it over the joints after I've smoothed them out, just to give them a nice brushed finish. Alright, so here you have it, the final product. If you like this video, please share it, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below.